Miria Makamo. Ben Brown is an athlete on the edge. The 28-year-old Kiwi's making a name and a living by paddling waterfalls and stunts that for most of us are common sense. This is dangerous stuff. Last year, a relatively simple stunt performed in front of the cameras left him with a broken back. But as Pete Cronshaw discovered, it'll take more than a broken back to kill this kayaker's career.
There's no path to follow.
Watching Ben Brown in action, you can't help but ask the question, why? This water warrior has made a career out of steering his plastic kayak down nature's most extreme fairground rides.
It is an addictive thing. Free fall off a 75-foot waterfall. It's as good as it gets.
It's a hell of a way to make a living.
I mean, no one's becoming a millionaire, but it's great. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, God!
A good day in the office for Ben Brown.
He just burst the shit out of it.
Is one in which he can come home with bragging rights and tell his mates what he's done. But as this AmCam clearly shows, nature can be one mean mother of an opponent when she wants to be. Ben was just 17 years old when this attempt on the Hooker Falls went horribly wrong.
And at that point, I kind of resigned myself to the fact that I was going to drown. And my buddy's sitting there, Greg, and he's looking at me, and he like helpless look on his face, and he's just looking at me like, poor guy.
You had some bad days.
Had some bad days, for sure.
Hooker Falls was a bad day.
A real bad day, yeah.
But the 18th of July last year was worse.
It was our worst day in the office, for sure. Yeah, that was a bad day. It was a bad day.
Just over a year ago, Ben was living the dream in Thailand. He'd secured a starring role in an extreme kayak movie.
Three of the world's best kayakers are exploring Thailand's northern mountains for unclaimed first descents down remote jungle rivers.
The expedition kicked off with a run down the Mae Wang waterfall near Chiang Mai.
It looked pretty straightforward. We had a few doubts as to how deep the pool at the bottom was, but as far as we could tell, it looked pretty good to go.
But hidden from view at the base of the waterfall lay a massive rock.
It was like being hit by a bus. I basically fell 30 feet into rock, accelerating. So I rolled up with half a paddle, which I don't know how I managed to do that in the state I was in. And our safety guy came up to me, and I remember at that point he asked me if I was okay, and I tried to say no, and I opened my mouth and quite a lot of blood came out. At that point I thought maybe I'd ruptured an internal organ, my spleen or my kidney or liver or something, and unfortunately it was my spine.
Using a door ripped from a nearby house, Ben was stretchered out of the jungle and rushed to hospital, where his worst fears were confirmed.
The doctor came in and put the x-rays up on the light board, and it was immediately obvious what I'd done.
I have got compression fractures in two of my vertebrae. So essentially I've broken my back, which is obviously pretty bad news.
Mortified by the doctor's prognosis, Ben was equally horrified by the physio's follow-up.
His first question to me was whether or not I had a girlfriend or a wife. And I said, yeah, I do. Just wondering what the relevance of this question was. And he's like, okay, so you can't have sex for 3 months. And I was like, oh, okay. So how do I go to the bathroom? And he's like, well, maybe you can have sex, but only if the woman's on top. And I'm like, okay, that's great. These are the least of my worries at the moment. How do I wash myself? How do I get to the bathroom? What's the deal? And then he's like, there's some other procedures. She can use her hand, she can use her mouth. At this point, I realised that I wasn't going to get a lot of useful information out of him.
Instinct told Ben to get a second opinion, so he took a few snaps of his x-rays, emailed them to his dad, and got on the first flight home.
I was happy when I saw that.
dad just so happens to be Dr. Stuart Brown, a surgeon at Hamilton Hospital.
Yeah, very lucky.
Most dads would probably urge their sons to give it, but not this one. What do you think about your son's passion for plummeting off waterfalls?
Fantastic. I'm envious as hell.
Really?
Really. I think it's brilliant.
And a broken back along the way?
That's, yeah, that's the price you pay.
And it actually sucks, like, you put the guy. Yeah. Pretty naked, actually.
In Thailand, the doctors prescribed complete bed rest.
Is that painful, dog? Okay.
In New Zealand, the focus was on rehab and exercise.
I was like, right, I'm going to make this my mission to do everything that I can to bring myself back in as good if not better shape than I was beforehand. And then that was the start of the road to recovery.
Within 5 months of breaking his back, Ben was back behind the paddle, back in foreign lands, paddling the Nile in northern Uganda.
It was so dangerous. It was the most thing I've ever done.
2 flips and broken one of the oars, but started to work our way down the river pretty well. Can't even take your eyes off the water for a second.
It was 7 days of complete focus and, you know, I was scared the entire time.
There were no waterfalls on this trip, but there were rapids and a minefield of hippos to be avoided.
There were literally thousands upon thousands in every spot on the river.
But they're pretty gentle creatures, aren't they?
Yeah, they tell me that they kill more people than any other animal on earth.
And then there were the crocs.
Yeah, plenty of crocs.
Hungry crocs?
Yeah. If I had to count, I'd say we probably had 7 legitimate croc charges where crocodiles were actually coming at us with the intention of having a chew.
As far as comebacks go, the Black Book film shoot had just about everything.
I've never started a trip feeling so apprehensive, and I don't think I've ever finished a trip feeling so good.
Everything that is, except waterfalls.
You're right, there wasn't that huge impact of paddling off a big waterfall. And
you wanted that?
Yeah, I did, because I knew that I would never be satisfied with kayaking again if I had to take out the aspect of paddling big drops, because that's what I love the most.
So quite neat. Ben's passion for waterfall borders on obsession. Spend too much time hanging out with them and you can find yourself doing some really stupid things.
There she is, mate. Half-eye falls.
I apologise for the expletives, but some situations are best summed up by 4-letter words. Fuck, fella. Fuck at me. That is not a gentle waterfall.
Nah, she's a proper one.
That's a man muncher. Dad got any contacts with strings?
I don't know.
Time for a quick flashback. 3 years ago, Ben Brown gave me an insight into the horror of whitewater freefall.
And you reckon it's safe?
Yeah, safe as here. Basically, the worst case scenario when you go and kayak on a river is that the passenger drowns. But that really is a worst case scenario. Are you ready?
Crammed into a sardine can of mixed emotions, we were about to take a trip down 7 metres of sheer terror. This time, the rules had changed. The deal was, I had to go it alone.
Forget the fact that there's a big waterfall there. Just you concentrate on just having your boat nice and straight, going right at that point, and then after that, let gravity take care of the rest.
Right. I have no shame in admitting I was packing myself.
I think I've got a simple strategy.
What's that?
I'm going to close my eyes.
Well, just make sure you close your eyes after you've gone past that point. Don't close your eyes beforehand.
My mentor attacked this daunting drop like a gannet hunting its prey. I felt more like a fledgling seagull plummeting into the jaws of a great white. The high-octane mix of fear, free-falling and foul language resulted in one big grin.
That is
The truth be known, these waterfalls are mere speed bumps, judder bars to an extremist like Ben.
How's that for a claim?
Keeping it real in the lounge.
Oh, throwing the fist.
Ben tends to take a bigger pounding from his mates than he does from the white water.
What kind of soundtrack would you have in here? Would you have like Top Gun kind of shit going on or what? Take me to the danger zone. I think God made him a little bit differently, eh? God put his nuts in his head. He is absolutely crazy.
And what does his girl Rosa think?
I'd be more worried after he goes out with the boys with a few beers than when he goes up a waterfall.
But make no mistake, this is a dangerous game, as Ben well knows.
There is an element of craziness. It's a step outside the comfort zone. It's pushing the boundaries of what I do, for sure.
1 year after breaking his back, Ben decided to confront his demons and challenge his confidence in Iceland.
So that was the turning point, I guess, to see if the injury went deeper than just the broken bones.
They don't call this the land of 1,000 waterfalls for nothing. But this is the beast Ben had come to conquer. They call it Aldeafoss, 20 metres of pure terror.
You know, I sat there and thought, is this really what I want to do? And there was a resounding yes.
Land too flat, and he would almost certainly smash his vertebrae again.
I was going to go straight and deep, and I was going to get the shit kicked out of me. I knew that for a fact.
But go too deep, and there was every chance he would never see daylight again.
I realised that if I walked away there, I'd pretty much be walking away from everything I'd lived, dreamed, ate and slept for my whole life, and so I gave it. Went well.
And with these few seconds of freefall, the fall guy reclaimed his form as one of the world's best.
It was pretty satisfying to sit at the bottom and know that I'm still good to go.
So what does the future hold now?
More of the same.
So you haven't finished beating up on Mother Nature?
I haven't. And she hasn't finished beating up on me either, I can promise you that.
Very cool. And Pete Cronshaw, got to give you props too, bro. Well done.